Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Africa in Focus with myself, Kwame, Ghanaian writer, broadcaster, journalist, podcaster, and entrepreneur. And in this week's edition of Africa in Focus is a special regards to health, and the topic is sanitary pads danger. Yeah, so this is a very, very important podcast. If you're a woman or if you are a husband with a wife or if you have young girls, this is very, very important. You must take this very, very seriously. Okay, so before we get into the show, talking about the dangers of this new danger in sanitary pads, just to make you aware that if you like what you hear, please share it to your friends, family, social media networks. Subscribe to Ghana African Fix on YouTube. Click on the notification bell, subscribe, meaning that every time we upload a new podcast, you'll be notified by YouTube. Also, look out for Ghana African Fix on Spotify. Click the follow button, meaning that every time we upload a new podcast, Spotify will notify you, okay? And if you want to donate to the show, we accept donations. You can donate that's $3 a month to help us continue to bring fantastic content from Ghana and from around the African continent. All right, so if you want to donate, click the donate button and that'll be on the fullness to the show. Also, if you are interested in wanting to come to Ghana, even on holiday or do business in Ghana, we do offer a consulting service whereby we can use our more than 10 years of experience to make a package for you. So if you want to know about the Ghana card, you want to know about how to get a phone contract in Ghana, you want to know about when you need to open a bank account in Ghana and about the Ghana card, then drop me an email, which again is on the footnotes to the show, and we can book you in for a consulting session. So let's get into the show today. A very important show, looking about the now dangers of Black women, doesn't matter where you are in the world, wearing sanitary pads. So I've got a video by one of our Kenyan YouTubers, Dr. Mumbi, which I'll put in the footnotes to the show, regarding a concern in Kenya over moldy and toxic sanitary pads. Now check this, moldy and toxic sanitary pads. So sanitary pads is what young girls and women put, in their vagina to, protect them, particularly when they're on the menstrual cycle. Yeah, but there's now a sinister and wicked agenda regarding the use of sanitary pads, and we're going to explain more in the podcast. So in Kenya, there's been a growing concern over moldy and potentially toxic sanitary pads, particularly involving the Always brand. Now, a video went viral in Kenya, yeah, and as a result of this, a major court case has sparked public outrage and legal action. So what has sparked the outrage in Kenya in regards to this issue with sanitary pads? So a viral TikTok video showed what appeared to be mold, insects, yeah, and contaminants inside the sealed pack of Always menstrual pads. Yeah, Always is a very popular brand across Africa. Yeah. Now, although the video may not be filmed in Kenya, it has resonated strongly with Kenyan consumers due to past concerns about product safety. Now, the video reignited fears about sanitary pad quality, especially among women who rely on affordable brands. Yeah. So because of this video that went viral, showing you, yeah, and like I said, I got the video that I'll show you in the fullness of the show. The video showed moldy, dirty, stinking sanitary pads. And this is in Kenya. Just to think, God knows what's been sold in many African countries like Ghana, Nigeria, etc. And I'll tell you the sinister agenda behind it, but I'll come to that in a minute. But because of this now, over 2,000 800 Kenyan consumers filed a petition at the Kenyan High Court in Nairobi against Procter & Gamble. They're the makers of Always and Pampers, yeah? And Kimberly-Clark, who are the makers of Kotex and Huggies. Now, Procter & Gamble is a very, very notorious company. No, sorry about that. I think on Johnson & Johnson, no. They're the ones, with the baby powder. But Procter & Gamble is also a very, very notorious company when it comes to these kind of products. And so the petition accuses both Procter & Gamble and Kimberly-Clark of selling products, i.e. sanitary pads, containing petroleum oil, while marketing them as being 100% cotton. That is wickedness. How can you say something is pure cotton when it has come out, it's emulated through some of the tests that have been done, that these sanitary pads, so-called, are made with petroleum? And petroleum is basically chemical. It's a byproduct of oil, yeah? So, the petition also accuses these companies of violating consumer rights, public health standards, and environmental regulations. The Law Society of Kenya has joined the case, arguing that its members are affected and that the issue of greater public interest is raised. Yeah? Now, check this now. Check this. In 2025, this year, a report by Nguvu Collective surveyed more than 9,000 women and girls to rank 19 sanitary pads brands in Kenya. The report assessed adhesive strength, material composition, skin irritation, absorbency, odor control, and overall user experience. Now, the findings of this report highlighted significant satisfaction, significant dissatisfaction with certain brands, including Always, especially regarding skin irritation and odor control, that's smell. Yeah? So this case in Kenya has broader implications for the African continent. So Ghana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, everywhere that imports these sanitary pads, particularly Always and some of the other brands. Yeah. So the broad implication is that the scandal in Kenya has sparked a national and even continental discussion about menstrual health, corporate accountability, and the need for transparent product labeling. It also underscores the importance of regulating feminine hygiene products, which are often overlooked in public health policy. Yeah, so these are some of the concerns that have been raised as of the report into the wider concerns of this sanitary pads, yeah? And one thing, why are these sanitary pads allowed to come to Kenya? Yeah, an African country without the regular checks. How does someone buy sanitary pads that apparently pass all the checks at the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration in Kenya, must have passed the checks to allow them to enter the country? Or was somebody sleeping at the desk? Was somebody sleeping at the job? Not really taking charge, looking into the quality and the makeup of these poisonous, dirty, stinking sanitary pads. Let me tell you, there's even a wider and even wicked agenda behind this now. I keep on saying about population control. The white man wants to kill African people, period. There's no if, no buts, no conspiracy theory, right? It's out there in the public, yeah? Just you read many documents like Global 2000, like National Security Memorandum 1974. Yeah, like many other reports, right? The agenda is to kill black people, African people. Why is it, if that was not true, why is it then that AIDS, Ebola, monkeypox hit Africa hard? And yet we know these diseases, right? Monkeypox was not invented in Africa. It was invented in a laboratory in Copenhagen, in Denmark, in 1958. So how the hell is a virus or a biological, I had to call it a biological warfare weapon, how come, yeah, it was invented in the laboratory in Denmark? How did it find its way to Africa? If there's not a sinister agenda behind that. You tell me. We know that AIDS was invented in Africa. We know it was invented in a lab in Fort Detrick. So how the hell did an AIDS virus that was made in a laboratory in Fort Detrick find its way to Southern Africa, where it caused havoc? How did Ebola, yeah, that was not made in an African laboratory, how did it find its way to West Africa, particularly because it was West Africa that Ebola hit hard? I think it was Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and a couple of other countries. Yeah, this is about 10 years or so ago. Yeah, how did it get to West Africa if there's no sinister agenda behind this? So what I'm saying is that history has shown us that these viruses and other biological warfare are aimed at Africa. Why? To cull our population. Yeah. And so these sanitary pads that have come into Africa, right, Kenya in particular, right, is not an accident, it's by design. Because if our women wear these toxic, yeah, moldy sanitary pads, right, during their period, right, and when they put it in on their vagina, that's going to go into the vagina, isn't it? That's going to cause damage to the vagina, damage to the reproductive system, meaning that they cannot have children. And if you destroy the black woman's ability to have children, what does that end? What's the result of that? It means that there's no more black race, no more African race, because the black woman, the African woman, can no longer have children because her vagina and or her reproductive system has been corrupted as a result of wearing moldy, stinking, dirty, toxic sanitary pads. And you didn't think anything about it? I haven't heard of any moldy, toxic sanitary pads in America, have you? I haven't heard of any stinking, toxic, moldy sanitary pads in Europe, have you? In Asia, have you? You know, if I'm wrong, let me know. I haven't. So that tells you, right, that there's a wicked agenda by other people to kill African women in particular by selling, exporting to Africa dirty, stinking, moldy, toxic sanitary pads that our women wear. And I'm warning our women, right? Beware, because this thing in Kenya, it just is about Kenya. What pads are you wearing in Ghana? What pads are you wearing in Nigeria? What pads is coming through to Gambia, Sierra Leone, Algeria, Morocco, Burundi, all of the continent? We need to wake up, women. Our women need to wake up now. And I said it before, wake up and realize that we are at war. As a people, as African people, we are at war. War has raged amongst us in many means. Food, biological warfare like AIDS, Ebola, military warfare, as what's going on in DR Congo and Sudan, where there's a genocide in Sudan. Yeah. And public health warfare in terms of vaccinations, and now this thing about sanitary pads. We are at war. So I'm imploring every single African woman on the continent, listen to this podcast. Yeah. Share this podcast with your girlfriends, with your nieces, with your daughters, etc., right? Because these sanitary pads is a killer that has serious implications, not just for Kenya, but the whole African continent. So I'm telling our women, look, examine. Next time you go and buy some sanitary pads, examine the quality. Yeah, take it to a chemist. Yeah, take it to the science department of the university in your country. Yeah, like in Ghana, we got KUNST, or we got Legon Tech. So we got so Legon in Accra, or Cape Coast University, or wherever you live. Take it to the science department of that university and let them test the nature of the sanitary pad that you just bought. Do not leave the chance, because if you do, you could be buying, yeah, a moldy, stinking, toxic, petrolatum laced sanitary pad. And by the way, that's also negative as well, because these sanitary pads should be made with 100% cotton, not petrolatum. Yeah, and we're not putting it on the label. So I'm urging all our women, get these pads tested by a science department in any university near your town or city. Yeah, because these people are not playing with this. Population control is the name of the game. Whether you're aware of it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, that is the agenda. Population control, particularly amongst African people, because the powers that be, the globalists, the elite, they know that by 2050, that's less than 20 years' time, or about 20 years' time, 1 in 4 people around the world will be Africans. Yeah? And 1 in 3 young people, yeah, will be African people. So they don't want that. They view African people as unworthy. We are not worthy to walk this planet. Yeah? So they have an agenda to kill as many African people as they can. Look at COVID. Look how many black people died in the UK, in America, in South Africa, across the continent. How many people died during COVID? And as well as taking the vaccine. How many people do you know that have taken the vaccine and have never been the same again? They're either dead, or they've got muscle problems, joint problems, cyst, blood clots, etc., as a result of taking that COVID-19 vaccine. And so when it comes to public health, we cannot leave anything to chance. Yeah, so I'm warning our women, next time you go and buy a sanitary pad, make sure you get that pad tested. Whether it's any of the brands, always, whatever you, go and get it tested, because you can't play wishing roulette with a life. But the good news is that there's a natural, I keep on talking about natural remedies. There's a natural way, yeah, that you don't need to buy these sanitary pads that are imported and coming from Europe and America. But before I get to that point, yeah, Kenya's sanitary pad crisis, like I said, is not a national issue. It's a continental signal flare. And it calls for stronger regulation by our bodies, local innovation, I'm going to come up to in a minute, and a renewed commitment to menstrual dignity for all African women. Yeah? So our governments need to be on the ball, and the health regulators and policymakers also need to be on the ball in this. So let me tell you the solution. The solution is we make our own sanitary pads. And I've got some good news on this, right? So innovators in Ghana, yeah? So some companies in Ghana are innovators in creating biodegradable sanitary pads using banana and plantain waste. Check it now. They're using banana and plantain skin. That's the waste we're talking about, but the skin of the banana, the skin of the plantain, to make biodegradable sanitary pads that women can wear. Now, this groundbreaking work is helping tackle period poverty while promoting sustainability and local empowerment. Yeah. So rather than rely on these westernized sanitary pads that are flooding the African market, these wicked companies who are putting toxic chemicals, not cotton, in the sanitary pads. Yeah, we've got an alternative. And who, you may be wondering, is behind this innovation? I will leave their details again in the furnace of the show. And if you're a woman, maybe you can go on it for yourself and research for yourself. So who's behind this innovation? They're called Kudu Technology, spelled Kodu Technology. And this is a social impact startup based in Tamale in northern Ghana. It produces biodegradable sanitary pads made from banana peel and plantain peels. So the aim of this is to combat period poverty, particularly amongst the rural community, and reduce school absenteeism amongst girls. Because in Ghana, like other parts of the continent, some young children are not going to school because they don't have the right sanitary wear to take with them while they're on their period in school. Now, this innovative company in Ghana has set up menstrual pad banks at senior high schools to provide free access. There was something called the PLAD project, PLAD project. Now, this has been developed by students from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. Now, check this right. They convert plantain, the skin, into sustainable menstrual products. Yeah, and this was presented at the Prototypes for Humanity 2023 event in Dubai, right? And it focuses on replacing synthetic, non-biodegradable materials, i.e., the materials that always other, household name brands are made with. They replace that with natural, locally sourced fibers. Yeah. So why does this matter? So why is this, innovation in using banana and plantain skin to make sanitary pads? Why does it matter? One, like I keep on saying, it's about sovereignty. Yeah. So we don't have to rely on anyone else to make sanitary pads for us that could be poisonous to us, particularly to our women. So we will have sovereignty by using this scheme by the Kudu technology, i.e. the sanitary pads made from banana and plantain skin. Yeah, that gives us sovereignty over the jurisdiction of making these things and making it with a natural ingredients for our women purposes. Again, environmental impact. These pads are biodegradable, unlike the non-biodegradable ones that you're buying. Yeah, it reduces plastic and also waste from conventional products. Affordability. Now, because people throw away banana skin and plantain skin, right? It makes these naturally made pads affordable, yeah, and cheap, making these pads more accessible, particularly to rural communities where the income is not as high or consumerate as you'll find in the cities. Also, these natural made sanitary pads gives health and dignity. So girls, particularly in rural areas of Africa, often lack access to safe menstrual products. These innovations of plantain and banana skin made sanitary pads help them stay in school and maintain hygiene. Again, local empowerment, yeah? So these projects, right, that I've mentioned above, they create jobs within our people, for our people, by our people, and promote community-led solutions to menstrual health rather than getting, the World Health Organization or United Nations or some NGO to come and talk about women's menstrual health when we have the solutions at hand ourselves. And so these Ghanaian innovators are inspiring models for sustainable menstrual health across Africa. Yeah. And we can give you also other, similar projects that are going on around the continent. And so in closing, this video that went viral showing you moldy, toxic sanitary pads should be a wake-up call to all African women, yeah, and particularly all African people, to stop importing without checking these nasty, stinking sanitary pads that is causing damage to our women's reproductive system. Yeah. 2, this is a wake-up call for us to examine these things that are coming into our countries. 3, our health facilitators, ministries of health and governments need to be on the ball and circumspect and not allow this to come into the country. But more importantly, 4, we have a home-bred African solutions that is being spread in Ghana by using natural ingredients, i.e. plantain and banana skin, to make biodegradable, health efficient, and safe women's sanitary pads. All right, so hope you've enjoyed this special, looking about the scandal involving Always and other commercial Western imported sanitary pads into Africa. In next week's show, we'll be starting a new series looking about Black life in UK. We're calling this section Black UK. And in next week's show, we're going to tell you why, if you as an African living in the UK, why the time may have come not to send money back home. Yeah, it's a very controversial topic, but I think the time has come that you may want to stop sending money back home to your family in Africa. All right, so for myself, Kwame, and from all the crew here on Africa in Focus, is thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week for some more Ghana, Africa in Focus.